Have you ever noticed that sometimes people will push away those who are most close to them or they love the most? What's behind that? Let's hear more from psychology consultant and author Jo Lukens. Good morning.
Good morning, Susan.
Thanks for being with me, Dr. Jo. So how does proximity influence our behaviour towards our loved ones?
Yeah, so of course with proximity we have closeness, don't we? And we see people more often, and I guess we see them in all the different kinds of environments they might find themselves. So what we find is that the people we are closest to often will reveal their imperfections and their flaws, all the things that make us human that we might not notice from a distance. So the more intimate we are with someone, for all of our loved ones, the imperfections become more apparent, which can make us a little more frustrated, disappointed, and we may communicate some of that to those people.
Why might people feel justified in being unkind to those they love, though?
Well, it's interesting because you hear people rationalise this kind of behaviour because, of course, we don't want to be unkind to the people. We don't want to be unkind to anyone, but we certainly don't want to be unkind to the people that we love. But people will often feel like they can justify the behaviour because they might think that the love is unconditional. I've often had people say, when I've worked with sporting teams and someone's been in the sporting team with their sibling, and you say to them, would you speak to your teammates the way you speak to your sibling? And they say, oh, no, because tomorrow they're still going to be my sibling. So we know that sense of security sometimes can lead individuals, unfortunately, to behave badly because they trust that their loved ones are going to stick by them.
What role does that emotional safety play in everyday aggression?
Yeah, so there's this interesting paradox between sort of trust and safety, where the increased intimacy and trust sometimes allows people to express themselves without self-censorship. And this term of everyday aggression is an interesting one. I know I reacted to it a little bit when I first came across it because I was like, oh, hang on, what is this? And it's when we're talking about everyday aggression, it's those little tiny moments where people might snap at someone or say something unkind. So we're not talking about aggression and violence here. We're talking about those little tiny moments that still are very much unkind.
The
at the very
niggling.
least. Yes, I was struggling with how I thought I could define it, but it is that
snarky or nagging.
yeah, snarky niggles. I think that might be our definition of everyday aggression, but it's certainly something that's been explored in the psychological research more. And what seems to happen is the more comfortable people feel, the more likely they're going to confront a loved one, the more likely they're going to comment on the fact that they chewed loudly at the dinner table, which perhaps they may not say to a colleague at work.
Yeah, that would be dealt with in other ways. Are you hearing from psychology consultant Dr. Jo Lukens? How could we use this information to improve our relationships?
Yeah, I think what the research seems to suggest is that even recognising that this behaviour happens, because it can have such a negative impact on our relationships, if we become more aware of it and if we can develop strategies to manage both our emotions better and improve our communication, then it will actually benefit our relationships moving forward. We can have healthier interactions, we can communicate more effectively. And once again, this seems to be a common theme in so many of the things that we talk about. It all comes back from self-awareness.
Yeah. So we can have some strategies then. What are some strategies?
Yeah, so strategies. Let's get on to the things that we can do to make this better. So the first thing is obviously starting that with that self-awareness, noticing either what is it that I just said to my family member that could be construed as being unkind, or what am I thinking that I'm wanting to hold back on. So having that open communication is really important. Discussing our feelings and frustrations with loved ones, but doing it in a calm, constructive and mature way is really important. That sometimes we think that we need to skip some of the niceties of effective communication when it is with a loved one, and in fact these are the perfect people to practice with, because then we'll do it in other domains as well. So we also know that looking in the mirror is important for us, because we know potentially there's things we're doing that irritates our loved ones as well. So I know, but a little bit of empathy to that can go a long way. And so I think these conversations, as with everything, communication is the glue that holds people together. So the more we can communicate in a respectful and constructive way, the better off all of our relationships will be.
Absolutely. Psychology consultant Dr. Jo Lukens, thanks so much for your time today.
Good to speak with you.